All right, great conversation to be had here. And I think it's time to look to the future for the Cleveland Browns after their massive win against the Ravens. Just a fun, frustrating, wonderful game to watch if you're a Brownies fan. And it was really cool to see. I mean, you have the injury to Deshaun Watson, then he's hobbling around, and you're like, nah, we're playing in Baltimore. Like, they're unbelievable. Like, what are we going to be able to do? They have just destroyed teams multiple weeks in a row at home. And then the Cleveland Browns say, not so fast, my friends, to quote Lee Corso. And they just did a phenomenal job. So what I want to do right now is I want to look to the past in order to look to the future. On Dog Pound, I thought this was hilarious. They asked a question. This is very similar to an article that Pride of Detroit did for the Detroit Lions earlier in the year. And they asked a very simple question. This week 10 matchup against the Ravens was the biggest regular season win since. So I want to do it on this. Answer the question. Leave it in the comments below. This is the Cleveland Browns' biggest regular season victory since when? This victory brought them to 6-3. They are now just a half a game behind the Baltimore Ravens. They are in a position where if they just keep winning, they have a great chance to lock up the number 2 or number 3 seed. I mean, this is unbelievable, right? Like, this is unbelievable. So what's the biggest regular season victory? I mean, you could talk about week 1 this year against the Bengals, but honestly, you've kind of dominated the Bengals and they weren't even close to full strength. It was a great way to get your season off to a good start, but it's hard to be a week 1 victory. What about 2020? All right. You beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. That team was resting their players, but you secured a playoff spot. All right. So I think about those kind of games. I think about those as big games. What about 2018? Right. First win in a couple years against the Jets, primetime TV, all that good stuff. There you go. Like, I think it's hilarious. This is the game where I believe Baker Mayfield comes in for an injured, Tyrod Taylor, and the rest is history, right? We have at home with Baker commercials that are going to start and all that kind of stuff, which, by the way, can I just say, love them or hate them, Baker Mayfield, those commercials were fantastic. Those were fantastic when he used the stadium as his house. I thought that was really, really good. You have the playoff clinching win over the Steelers, and then maybe in 88 against the Oilers. Like, I don't know. Like, I really do believe, and it could, and here's the thing. It's so hard to rate this game, and we're going to get to the playoff picture in the future here in a second. So I want to spend some time in the past. It's so hard to rate this game because we don't know what they're going to do with the regular season. Like, if they end up going and making the playoffs, if they end up winning the division, this ends up being one of the biggest regular season victories in the history, or at least since the rebirth, right? Since you guys came back to the NFL. I think that can be said without much hesitancy. I don't think I'm wrong in that. So leave the comment. What do you think? Is this one of the biggest regular season victories? Are you not ready to put it there, or are you very clearly putting it there? All right, now I want to show you this. This is the playoff picture. As you know, 7 teams make the playoffs. All right, 7 teams make the playoff. Simple. All right, it's simple. So you have the Chiefs sitting here at number 1. You have the Ravens at 2. But here's the interesting thing. All right, they already got beat by your Brownies. All right, who are now 6-3. All right, the Jags are sitting there at 6-3. The Dolphins at 6-3. The Steelers. I've said this on a show or a video here before. The Steelers aren't real. The Steelers almost just lost to the lowly Green Bay Packers at home. They don't have an offense. They don't. Their defense is good. All right. That is not a team that should continue to sit in this type of record. That is a team with a large net loss for plus minus. All right. The Browns are better. All right. The Browns are better. So they're at 6-3. Here's the thing. It is just a giant cluster when you have these few teams coming back. All right. You have the 5-4 Bengals, the 5-5 Colts, the 5-5 Bills. All right. I'm not really ready to put, but look at this 4-5, 5-5 Bills, Chargers. So what does the future look like? What does it look like? You see all these teams, you see the road ahead, and it's simple. Just keep winning, right? Keep winning, and you're in the driver's seat. But what is the schedule look like? All right, first you have the Steelers next week. Get them out of there. Take a firm control at 7-3 of the number 5 seed, and who knows? With a Ravens loss, you're there. All right, you are absolutely there, and you're leading the division. Then you're going to Denver, who has resurgence. They have new life. This is no longer a victory on the schedule anymore. This is a tough game, but it is a winnable game. All right. Then you're going to LA and playing the Rams. That is a winnable game. Like, there is a world where even though 2 of the next 3 are on the road, you're sitting at 9-3. Then you have the Jags at home. All right. You're playing the Jags in December, a warm weather team coming up to the dog pound. Good luck. All right. We just saw what happens to the Jags on the road against solid teams like the 49ers. They got spanked. All right. Then you have the Bears. I mean, this is looking really good. Then you finish out at Houston. That's looking like a much more difficult game than we ever thought it was going to be. Love it for the Texans. Good for them. Then you have the Jets at home, and you finish out the year at Cincinnati. All right. Everything is in front of you. Everything is in front of you. Let Deshaun get that ankle healthy. Hopefully he can. The shoulder progression is going really, really well. The offense is playing well enough to win now with rusty, injured Watson. What are they going to do when it's better? The defense is playing good enough now with a bunch of injuries on the back end. All right. When they get healthy, like, this is a team that, as long as you keep the strength intact, which is a defensive line, and they have a good offensive line, especially in the run game. All right. They can play with anybody. I think Elijah Moore is going to continue to step up more and more, no pun intended with more. I really do. So that is what I am seeing out of the Cleveland Browns. I'm seeing a bright future that hopefully you do as well. And yeah, that's really all I have on it. We'll continue to talk about the Brownies. We might get a little more in depth on their game later this week. We'll see. And we might look a little more in depth on what they have coming up against the Steelers, because we knew after that just throttling of the Cardinals that this 2-game series at Baltimore and at home was for some home cooking against the Steelers. We knew that this was a biggest 2-game stretch that they have had in years. All right. And they're off to a good start. All right. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, all that good stuff. See you on the next one.